yourself a little tap. Get turned on. Go. Audrey, the true question.
It doesn't matter if it works now or after 5 minutes.
There you go. You good? Get turned on.
Timer. You're on.
Everybody got their cup
You gotta tap, right?
Yeah. No, it doesn't work.
You hear, all you hear is, you know. They always thought it was the funniest thing because they'd all, you know.
Right.
Because they were 10.
I got a good voice.
I'll just take mine over.
It's a great visual.
Good evening. Welcome to Raymond School District number 14 regular school board meeting for December 17th, 2024. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. This meeting is now called to order. 6:30. Please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Allie, will you do roll call of attendance, please?
Sure. Ed Robinson,
Here.
Janelle Wise. Here. Mike Powers,
Here.
Audrey Costin,
Here.
and Patty Wren.
Here.
Thank you, Allie. Verification of public notice pursuant to 19.841 Wisconsin statutes.
The meeting was posted in all the usual places, the schoolhouse doors, the e-Vergent door, the village hall door, and media was notified.
Okay, good. Thank you. Next, we move to approve the agenda of this meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for this meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We move on to consent agenda. I will assume that you've taken the time to read the meeting minutes from our regular board meeting in November, our board workshop meeting on 12/2, and our special meeting minutes directly after that on 12/2. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from 11/18, 12/2, and 12/2. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We move on to business and finance, and Ed, will you give us the treasurer's report, please?
All right, our beginning balance was $7,061,849.32. Accounts payable was $223,615.84. Receipts, $72,919.21. Payroll disbursements, $197,751.87. $0 for journal entries. Our ending balance is $413,400.82.
Vouchers and payroll for approval are as listed in the agenda.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve the report.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the financial report. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we move to the school showcase, and Mrs. Walsh, will you please?
Yes, as we're trying to put in the agenda each month, we are inviting in various things to celebrate and acknowledge, and this month is pretty obvious around here with all the concert series, as I call it, of just various grade levels, and I think you're going to sleep very well after tomorrow night when they're all wrapped up. So Mrs. Walsh is new to our team this year, but not new to education. Came to join us this summer, and we've been really pleased with where music is going here, the vocal side of things. There's obviously a band teacher as well, and so Mr. Cole's involved. But tonight we're going to focus on a presentation from Mrs. Walsh, and she'll take you through the wild ride that is vocal music at Raymond School.
Thank you so much. Okay, so hi, I'm Allison Walsh. I'm the Director of Vocal Music at Raymond. I want to give you a sneak peek into our concert process and how that works. So, let's talk about how learning is approached through our concert series. So, we have student-centered instruction. It is a big belief of mine that if you have the child's heart, you can teach them anything. You have to get to know the kids, and so that's a big philosophy that I'll exercise with my students. At our concerts, you'll see speakers involved, which are sharing our teaching points, which are directly based on our standards. We use a lot of repetition. You'll hear more of that in our presentation tonight. We have goal setting with each rehearsal, and that helps the kids to have a manageable chunk of work to do so they're not overwhelmed. So we break it down into manageable chunks with goal setting. And we get out into the community and perform. The kids just performed at the Brentwood Assisted Living, and they did so well. Oh, I'm so pleased. We got so many compliments on their performance. The residents said, come back anytime. And at Culver's, we took the kids out for lunch, and we got compliments on them as well for their behavior. They were very, very great. So onward we go. This is all from the kids. I asked them, hey, what do I do that helps you? So I wanted to share that with you. One of the students said, we break it down and we go over the sections. That's that repetition I was telling you about. We do warm-ups every rehearsal, and the students have really seen success with that, improving their tone specifically and how they sound. We go over each of the voice parts individually. We always warm up. That routine is huge. And we practice the songs for months, which we do. That really, really helps them build that confidence.
Some of the parents may know that.
Sure they do. I thought this comment was a sweet compliment. The student says that she's learned how to sing harmony by watching my cues. Choral conducting is a passion of mine. It's something that I've studied in great detail. And it's something that I love to do, and so I was glad that that stuck out to this student. Watching the cues of the conductor. So following my hand movements to know exactly how to execute the pieces. She specifically refers to the T sound, which is t, and so she was citing that in her example. Her cues helped me learn and understand how to sing the song, and I thought that was powerful. Okay, let's listen. We're going to go to our recent concert. This is the 3rd through 5th grade concert, which was last week. And we're going to listen to a portion of a round called Gaudeamus. And round singing is such a wonderful way to learn harmony and build that confidence in part singing. Yes. It's going.
We're going to fast forward because we can do that with the power of technology.
starting, you'll hear these concert speakers introduce the piece.
Now I'm going slowly to tell you about our next piece. Jabari almost ODA means let us rejoice today. So it is performed in many holiday concerts because it is a song of celebration. There are many different ways to perform rounds. Tonight we will be first singing all together. When we repeat, we will be singing a two-layered harmony. Melody should create a two-part harmony. We worked hard to blend the unison section and then pulled apart the layered sections. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy Gaudeamus.
Thank you so much. I put them specifically first in the presentation tonight because I wanted you to hear the progression. These are our 5th grade kiddos. All right, and so I teach one section of the 5th grade and Mr. Cole teaches the other. And so we combined, and Mr. Cole was so talented, was on the drums. It was incredible. Our accompanist was so talented too. All right, so bouncing is something that the kids do and something that they enjoy. Thank you. All right, so we're going to get to our 7-8 choir now. Just love working with them. They have been showing a lot of growth with me so far. And so we talk about how does harmony singing work at their level. I selected a piece that goes in layers. And so I wanted to show that to you. I recorded some of our singers singing the individual parts.
This is the baritone.
And so we go on to our next.
This is the baritone.
Sorry, good job.
Baritone line of Sing Noel. 1, 2, ready, go.
Sing Noel, angels singing to the baby. Sing Noel, sing ye Noel. Sing Noel, angels singing to the baby. Sing Noel, sing ye Noel.
Nice job. And next is the alto line. 1, 2, ready.
Sing Noel, sing Noel, Noel, sing Noel. Sing Noel, Noel.
Beautiful. This is the,
Oh, we're going backwards.
and next, the last line is the soprano line. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Sing Noel, oh sing Noel, Noel. Sing Noel, oh sing Noel, Noel.
So already in these singers, you can hear the difference of tone from our younger ones. And so that's something that's really fun for me, is to get to work at that higher level with the kids.
That middle school voice.
It is, yeah. So now you're going to hear a combination, and this is our full choir from today's rehearsal, and I'm so excited to share it with you. This is unmiked, and the microphone was as central as I could put it. The recorder was as central as I
So
could
this
put
is
it
a
for a choir.
bootleg version.
So it is. It's good though. on our next, yes, plug for our concert. Come and see it, they're gonna be great. Just thrilled with their progress, and especially with the sopranos, with the opening of the tone is really great. A huge thank you to all of you, just for inviting me here to talk about something that I love, something that I'm just so happy to do. It's a really, truly an honor to be here, and I just can't thank you guys enough for inviting me. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So obviously, thank you for presenting. One more round of applause for Ms. Walsh. She gets to go home now because she'll be here late tomorrow night as well. That's it. And then you'll sleep like a baby. That's good. Soon we're on break, but thank you. I've had the benefit of being at the first two concerts, and they were pretty awesome to see last week. And I also want to just give a shout out. Some of the direct support this year from our PTO has been wonderful. The lighting and the sound, in the past, we've had to rent those pieces of equipment, and the PTO was able to get some very generous donations that we mentioned during the concert to all of our sponsors, but they did a great job of funding and having our own equipment now. So we're not paying year over year to rent the equipment, which is good, and that's no cheap venture. So thank you to PTO for that, and thank you to Mrs. Walsh for a presentation. Awesome.
I'd like to say ditto to Mrs. Walsh. I was at your first and second concert and look forward to tomorrow's. Your love of music shines through for sure. Thank you. Okay, we move to the public portion of the meeting. Members of the public wishing to address the board on any topic are required to complete a public input form prior to the beginning of the meeting. And Patty, do you have those?
First is Dawn Peterson.
Hello and thank you. Like I said, I'm Dawn Peterson. And so over the last year, there have been requests for the public to heal the divide and just get over it, to come together for the kids. I think one of the significant issues that we're not sort of getting over it is around trust and the lack of trust. I went to dictionary.com today, and it defines trust to be the reliance on the integrity, strength, ability, or surety of a person or a thing. Artificial intelligence is also amazing, right? So AI tells me that to build trust, you need to be consistent, transparent, honest, and communicate effectively, meaning you keep your promises, admit your mistakes, actively listen, and openly share relevant information while also showing empathy and respect for others. I view trust as a two-way street. The board should simply not request or demand trust from the community. Trust is earned, and the community needs to trust the board. I actually think the recent referendum results were a data point which indicates that the community does not trust the board. Two recent opportunities where the board could have demonstrated that they are trustworthy. One, admit your mistakes. The board failed to adhere to the open meeting laws when you held a meeting at Audrey's house. Admitting your mistake, apologizing, and committing to do better would go a long way in building trust. Yet you chose not to admit your mistake. I also believe the second missed opportunity was during the recent board workshop, where it would have been nice to see somebody taking notes during the training video. I sat in the audience, I took notes. I actually know the rules. I was on the board. I did not see one single board member write down any notes during the meeting. Your visible lack of interest in learning the material does not demonstrate trust. In fact, you sat there smug, like you know everything. We all need to do better for the children of Raymond.
Next is DeRay Moonen.
I'd like to continue that theme of trust. The lack of respect to answer my September 1st open records request I've continually asked, I've been continually told I'm going to get the information. I still do not have it. These records, you need to do your job. I am disheartened that you don't think that transparency is something that this district deserves. Right now, I've noticed, again, you're not paying your bills. Since August, you haven't paid your gas, your electric, your garbage. That's 3 months. That's, come on, guys. There's something wrong here. But this board refuses to tell us what's going on. But I do know that your bookkeeper is not accruing your health insurance premiums through payroll correctly. Your November adjustment was over $14,000, which should never really happen. But I also know that you're not continually looking at who you're paying your premiums to. There's an employee who used to work for this district who found out over this summer that they still had health insurance and they were no longer with the district for a year. I also know someone who has been getting dental insurance for over 2 years that does not work here. The point of it, all of it is we're in a financial trouble here. You guys are not looking at what's going on. You continually spend money on lawyers and on Dawn's thing that she was talking about. For what? Just admit you've made a mistake. We are all human. We all make mistakes, but we need to admit our mistakes and we need to move on. This board right now has not shown me any kind of respect by not taking one note during that training session. Not one single note. You were there to learn because you didn't get it right the first time. It showed us you don't care. It's time that you all stand up and walk out and resign and put somebody in these positions that actually wants to do something. We're looking at the bank. They don't want to give us money. Why? Now they're looking at putting collateral on our school. They're going to put a lien on our school. That has never happened since this school has been open. That tells me you have a huge financial problem and you need to fix it. And it's obvious you can't do it. So get someone in who can.
Next is Jeff Peterson.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Peterson. My family and I have been associated with Raymond Schools since the building opens its doors, and quite honestly, even before that. My history is long and deep with this school, and I have such a sense of honor and loyalty to the place that inspired me to be an educator. During the referendum feedback session, I had this overwhelming sense that what needs to be said isn't being said out loud. The recurring message and concern over referendum results is in the lack of trust, honesty, and transparency. I'll share a tangible example with you that I'm sure the voters and residents of Raymond will understand. Unfortunately, I'm not sure the board does. This actual occurrence should be no cost whatsoever to the school district and taxpayers of Raymond. Unfortunately, the continued bigoted, discriminatory, and stubborn actions of this school board has and will cost the district frivolous legal expenses. The taxpayers and referendum voters in the upcoming election deserve to know that the Raymond School District is spending taxpayer funds on legal fees to keep a former student, a former teacher, a former principal from accessing his retirement. I have earned and contributed to that retirement for 29 years. The Raymond School District is paying legal fees to stop an action that is no cost to them. I feel the need to repeat that. The Raymond School District is expending money on legal fees that could be spent on children in an effort to retaliate against me in an action that would be of no cost to the district. I hope we don't have any math teachers in the room, because the lesson to be learned is please don't teach the students of Raymond School Board math. I would also like to take the opportunity to let the community know that Dr. Todd Gray was considered for an open interim superintendent position before Mike Garvey was hired. Dr. Gray took a $63 million loss and turned it into a $5 million surplus in one of his previous districts. Dr. Gray is also the business official that the Milwaukee Public School System and the governor sought to rescue MPS, one of the largest districts in the state. And he was interested in working for us here at Raymond. Board members Audrey Kostic and Janelle Wise rejected Dr. Garvey as an applicant and instead selected the so-called financial prowess claimed by Mike Garvey.
Just to comment on that, there was no rejection of Dr. Gray. He stopped returning our calls and removed himself as a candidate. So we were very interested in him. So that's completely untrue.
Review the open records. He responded.
Not that I was aware of. There was at no points that you just said I rejected him. Show me that in the open records.
They're on the website.
There's so many out there. For give me. I've given a lot to this district. I'm not going through and reading them. So if you want to send it to me, I'd be willing to review. And if I did do something there, I will openly admit any fault there. But there was at no point that I ever rejected him as a candidate. So thank you.
Happy.
I also wanted to just point out too, I know there's the comment about legal fees for the current WRS filing. We have not incurred any legal fees to date regarding that matter. So I know we're working through the appeal process right now, but there have not been any direct legal fees paid for that yet. So.
Also, there's been many reasons that this district went through a lot of things with the referendum, and I talked to many of the community members, and not all of them agree with what your statement was, Mr. Peterson.
I don't think that public comment is an interaction between your audience and you. So
Well, we learned in the training that we participated in that we are allowed to comment on public comment despite taking notes. I did gather that fact from the training, which is available and easily reviewable to all of us. So my need to take notes to record all of that, which I had gone through in prior trainings as well, didn't feel the need to take notes for the third time. But thank you for calling out my lack of note taking, who, as you can tell, I'm a diligent note taker. I take a lot of notes. Something that was recapping information we've already gone through and is easily accessible should I have any questions. Don't feel the need to take notes. We sit here multiple times a month to go through extensive training. You're right, transparency isn't something that we can share everything of every fact of every detail of everything that we're dealing with. That's the nature of being on the school board. That's why we're in these positions. We share what we can, but when there's open litigation and open things out there, we can't comment on some of this stuff. And you talk about consistency. Since last November, we have been publishing newsletters to increase our transparency. We have established board meetings. We have committed more time and more public methods. So if that's not consistent, I don't know what is. Okay, we move on to old business. Referendum update. Mike?
So we held, and some of you in this room were there, and I appreciate you coming out. We held a meeting last Monday to get reflective feedback. The survey is still open online for people to chime in and give their feedback about how the referendum went. We're excited to learn from the opportunity that unfortunately failed on November 5th, but we certainly want to move forward with an option. We've been very clear since day one that we don't have a lot of options for future financial assistance, and really in the form of a new referendum question really is the way this is going to go, and more than likely. The board will have to vote on that in January for a question that would be considered in April, in the April 1st ballot. So back to the drawing board to consider some things. There were conversations that were held that I think, people that have a chance to say, give their advice, give their thoughts. There was talk of some of the things you heard in the open public portion of the meeting. Those things were said, and they have been said in written feedback too in the Google form. So the admin team's taken a look at those things, and Mr. Kempen and I are working steadfast with Baird to make sure that, whatever we move forward with for the board to consider for our options is clear and in the best interest of making Raymond move forward productively. So we are really interested in those next steps. So our timeline is pretty tight. We're going to be meeting here over the next few weeks. Got a little holiday in there. And then we'll have some January planning. The January 20th board meeting would be the consideration by the board to consider a question, if there were to consider one for the referendum. And then from there, we would plan and advance the cause with information as much as possible with our public. So that's really how the referendum, appears. One thing that's come up in recent is just regarding people's tax bills. This is tax season, and people receive their tax bills. And I received mine in my community, and much to my dismay, my taxes went up. And many taxes here in the community went up, some significantly, 30, 40, 50% based on, valuations of people's tax assessments. So as we navigate that, I just want to point out that even though the Raymond portion on your tax bill did go up because our levy went up, that does not mean that we get more revenue from into our budget. What that means is the state sees that we can pay for things locally, and they say your local tax levy covers that cost, so we're going to pull back on the state equalization aid. So we are a negatively aided school district, which means that the value of our properties is considered so great that the state thinks they can contribute less through the equalization aid formula. So I'd love to talk with anybody who has questions about it. I know some people have reached out to me in recent days as those tax bills are arriving. I'm sorry your taxes went up, but I certainly want to have a conversation as to maybe why that is, as well as the impact if there were a referendum on there as to how that would translate. So I think it's really important we recognize that. But again, I'm an open book. Anyone that knows me knows I'm available. I'm here, willing to talk. The conversations aren't always fun, but at the same time, they're important conversations to have. So I'm looking forward to moving forward and talking with our school board in January with a potential referendum solution. So there's that.
Okay, good. We move to the Neola policy second read approval. Janelle?
All right, here we go again. So this is the second read for the Neola policy. So tonight we'd be looking for a motion to approve the batches 33-1 and 33-2. And
I'll have them up on the screen here so they can see as you're reading.
Cool, thanks. So bear with me while we go through all of the policies that have been reviewed and either revised or rescinded in some cases and or introduced. So first is 3431 and 4431, employee leaves. 6423, use of credit cards. 7540.05, assistive technology and services. 7544, use of social media. 8500, food services. 8510, wellness. 8540, vending machines. 8550, competitive food sales. 8600, transportation. 8640, transportation for field and other district-sponsored trips. 8651, non-routine use of school buses. 8660, transportation by private vehicle for district-sponsored activities or trips. 8680, transportation services contracts. Then for technical corrections, we have policy 0100, local public office holder or official. 0143.1, public expression of board members. 0152, officers. 2221, special observance days. 2270, religion in the curriculum. 2416, student privacy and parental access to information. 2522, library media centers. 3112, and policy 4112, board staff communications. 3213 and 4213, student supervision and welfare. 3216 and 4216, staff dress and appearance. 3231, outside activities of professional staff, and 4231, outside activities of support staff. 4440, job-related expenses. 5605, suspension, expulsion of students with disabilities. 8390, animals on district property. And then the administrative guidelines were also updated, so AG 3120.04, employment of substitutes. 3121, criminal history record check. 3124A, contracts. 3124B, requests for reduced contract period. 3430.01A, family leave. 4120.04, employment of substitute support staff. 4140, resignation. 5110, student handbooks. 5120, assignment to school, class and grade. 5130, withdrawal transfer from school. 5463, student and credit transfer from non-public schools. 5605, disciplining students with disabilities. 6610A, student activity fund. 6611, student activity fund. 6610B, procedure for inactive activity accounts. 6611A, procedure for inactive activity accounts. So one was rescinded, one was revised, hence the dual names there. 6611B, ticket sales. 7440B, metal detector search procedures. 7455, asset acquisition, transfer, and disposal. 7540.01A, personal use of district technology resources. 8700, employment lactation accommodations. 9120B, photographs and pictures. 9160, public attendance at school events.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept or to approve the Neola board policy identified in the reading tonight?
I move to approve the Neola board policy identified in the reading tonight as presented by the policy committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the reading from the Neola board policies tonight. Any discussion?
No discussion, just a comment. Thanks to my fellow policy partner in crime here who sat through hours of updates to make sure that we had these caught up, and we have another round coming in January, so.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for doing that. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next we move to the energy saving program, and I'm going to ask Ed to give us a little bit about that. No?
You are, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, we worked with Data Wrangler. It's a local business that gathers, they hook up some electrical device on our panel, and they are able to identify each piece of equipment that uses energy. They will be able to identify which one takes a peak amount, because that's how our bill is generated. We get, when there's a big spike in usage, that is what our bill is based on. So this piece of equipment or data gathering device, they will provide a device that will gather the data, identify the equipment, then we're able to take that data and maybe shift some things around so that the peak is less. This will take some time to take the data and analyze it. Now they do all the analyzing. They'll provide charts and all the information for us to make good decisions. We should see some savings as soon as 2 to 3 months, but over some period of time, I don't know exactly what that is, but within a year to a year and a half, we should start seeing something very significant in the range of 15 to maybe 20% savings on electrical bills. So I'm familiar with this type of gathering information and collecting this data and making good decisions. We had some of this stuff at work as well, so that I was involved in. But this particular company, they have a significant amount of installations around the area in southeastern Wisconsin, and so I propose that we go ahead and spend the money, and actually the dollars will not come out of the general budget or out of the general Raymond School budget. It'll come out of the Fund 50, which is the consortium dollars that are used to run the lunch program. So we all share, all the schools in the consortium will be sharing this cost. So, and then we can identify, we think we know that the lunchroom, the hot water, the dishwasher, the ovens and all of that stuff require the most electricity. And so we'll be able to identify those. If we need to adjust our pricing strategy or share in the consortium for the other schools, we'll have the data to back that up. So it's hard to make decisions without data.
About 18 months ago, DPI allowed Fund 50 be used for this purpose because of the large amount of kitchen savings that was coming out of it, because we're a production kitchen for multiple schools in our area. And so that's why it's able to be paid out of the Fund 50 account, which is a benefit. To them, they want to make sure that we have a fair partnership and that they're paying their fair share to use, they're using our equipment indirectly by us producing food for their children. So that's a good thing. And that also has started the conversation about some other things we have needs with, like our freezer and our cooler, which will be at a future meeting with that. So that's sort of, I think that's a cliffhanger. You'll have to wait for a future board meeting about those things.
I was also very pleased at one of our meetings that we had that we were able to talk with Mike and stuff like that, that they were able to go out and price with different people. We had Piper Power here. We had Piper Power here giving us an estimate on what it would cost to put this stuff in. This data wrangler thought it was kind of expensive for it. They went out and shopped around and got us another price, which kind of kept it down a little bit for us too. And I like that they were able to work with us to be able to keep the prices down. So, and they're willing to work with us to continue doing that in the future.
They serve, I think it's 54 school districts in the region that have amassed savings from this. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity for us to just do things a little bit differently and then save some money, which is always good. So what we're asking for tonight is the board to consider or to approve the 8394 bid to be paid out of Fund 50 for this project to move forward.
So I make a motion to accept the proposal for the Fund 50 account, from the Food Consortium to install software and metering systems to enhance our ability to engage in the Data Wrangler Energy Saving Program. To spend the dollars of $8,394.
Second that motion.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the Data Wrangler Energy Saving Program for the consortium, and that will be paid out of Fund 50. So any more discussion?
Thanks for the additional description tonight. I know we had the presentation, thought it was a really solid presentation, and I think it's also interesting to hear that you had some background experience with them and just, you know, understanding the benefits that you've been able to see firsthand. No more discussion or questions for me.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we move to new business and the state report card. And this is Marty.
Yes, we invited Dana in tonight. She's getting up. She can still get up. That's fine. You can stand in front of your podium if you'd like and wheel that thing around. So last month we were one day early for the embargoed results. We got our results back from the state report card, and we were excited to see. Last year was a challenging year, probably the most challenging on our schools in our school's history in terms of the things that were going on and the challenges that our staff faced. So I give kudos to our faculty, to our students, and for muscling through and having a great year and doing what they can to learn. So Dana's going to celebrate some things tonight, talk a little bit about, we did have a workshop earlier this year that talked about what goes into the report card, and this is just kind of admiring this year's results, which is wonderful, and I'll turn it over to Dana.
Okay, you can go to the next one. This is the school report card presentation.
You want the clicker?
Yes.
Power.
Yeah, okay. So that's just a review of our mission statement. Oops, I hit the wrong click. Okay, so the forward exam, just to review, it's designed to gauge how well students are doing in relation to the Wisconsin academic standards. It's grades 3 through 8 in ELA and math, grades 4 and 8 in science, and then I put 10 on there, but I shouldn't have because we don't have 10. So 4 and 8 also for social studies for us. So our 4th graders and our 8th graders, when we take this test in the spring, they are doing 2 extra tests, but that's how it works. So the state report card goes over, it uses the data from the forward exam, plus some demographic, attendance data to formulate our yearly report card information. So it's a few different factors. There are always 4 priority areas. Priority 1 is just regular achievement. How do the kids do? And it only counts ELA and math for that. Priority area 2 is growth. So that's year-to-year progress in both of those 2 things. Target group outcomes. We don't know exactly who these people are going to be, but it is the people with the lowest scores. So that's our target, becomes our target group for the next year. So that's a separate score. And in that target group, you maybe have heard me say 8th grade math and 3rd grade reading counts twice. That's because that's what they're looking at right there. So they look at it in achievement and they look at it again in the target group outcomes, okay? Because there's a whole bunch of research that says if you can read by 3rd grade and if you can do math in 8th, you're going to be okay. You're going to be college or career ready. So there's a real emphasis on there. And then the on-track graduation. So they use all kinds of predictors to see how successfully we're progressing toward that. Attendance, credits taken, all that, classes taken, all sorts of stuff. So our score this year was an 81.5, which exceeds expectations. You can sort of see the breakdown there. So significant, look how close we are. And I'm thinking, okay, we could get there, right? So that would certainly be our stretch. Here's the 2-year comparison, because this is what everyone really wants to know. How do we compare to our area schools? And this is it. So we had a 5-point increase, which we're very, very proud of. We had that in some of our others. We had the biggest increase out of anybody. Kansasville and some of, is a small school. North Cape is a small school. It's hard to have apples and apples here. So another comparison I'd like to show you is this one. So Mike actually found this for me. It was in our CISA group, so in our area, like-sized schools. Did you do 300 to 500 about? 300 to 500. So these
in a K-8.
In a K-8 environment, and this is how we compared to the other ones that came up. So in this category, we did do very well last year. Achievement, we were higher than 79% of K-8 schools in the state. Growth, higher than 64% of all other K-8 schools. Our target group, those ones, the kids I was talking about before, and that's really important because those are the kids that kind of have the most to lose, or the ones that we worry about the most. So to be able to increase their scores is a really good thing. And then we're, of course, graduation rates that end up going through the high school are very, very good, and we all contribute to that. But our was 94%, higher than 94% of all other schools. Our priorities then, we're going to focus on strong standards-based instruction in all subjects. That's how we get to that next tier. Implement high-leverage instructional strategies. We make decisions based on data. Use a universal design for learning structure to make standards accessible to all students. So we started some of this work last year, and we will be continuing after we get back from break. Talking about how do we hold all of our students, even our special education or English language learners, to those standards level by just giving them the support to get there. We're going to foster a culture of care, and we've been working on this, respect and engagement for our students, and then provide quality professional development. And that's just kind of it, but we were just very excited about that and thought you'd like to see it.
That's great.
And again, I want to just point out, it takes a village. So thank you to our faculty and staff. I want to give them a round of applause if we could. A lot of hard work goes into educating other people's kids, communities. So thank you for that. Again, more to come. Our journey with professional learning communities has really been pushed forward this year, trying to collaborate and exercise that ability to talk within grade level teams and across grade level teams, and it's been really pretty powerful stuff. It's hard. It's a hard shift to make, but it's definitely worth it, and we're seeing the results here initially, which is great. Awesome.
Thank you, Mrs. Marty. Okay, next we need to move to the deed resolution.
Yes, this represents probably one of the most unique things that's ever occurred to me. As we were going through our records and working with the bank to finalize our borrowing situation for this year, the bank discovered that we did not have a deed on file. Why is that, you ask? That's a great question. They had the same question. So in 1961, we were able to search back to documents from the founding purchase. The school district purchased for $3,500 around there, I think it was. It's always interesting to look at some of these older records, but the minutes reflected a purchase of this by the school district, this property. And then it mentioned that the school district could at that time file for a deed. Well, we never did. So the purchase went through, was approved, village was in possession of what would have been our deed at that time, and has been sitting with possession of that unbeknownst because they haven't had the opportunity, the need to check on the deed. So when the bank was working with us to get all of our paperwork together, we came across this. So I want to just give a shout out to the bank and to some local people here who helped with title services and deed work. And the village board was very cooperative to have a meeting put together last week in, I don't want to say emergency fashion because it wasn't really an emergency, but a meeting, what's it called? Special meeting, thank you. And the deed was deed quit, it's called, or quit deed was transacted. So tonight we're reading in the approval for our school district. So welcome your purchase, and well, it's already been purchased, but you'll have a brand new building here in 1961. So we have the transaction occurring tonight. In all seriousness, there's a resolution that needs to be read, which accepts the quit deed. We are paying the cost of this, and so we were advised through legal counsel with the transaction from the village that we read into the minutes that I'm able to also pay, you're authorizing me to authorize the payment, which is a couple $100 to the deed title services as well. So there's two actions that need to occur. One would be reading the resolution, and then the other one would be authorizing the superintendent to pay for it.
Can you just explain why the bank discovered this and what role that's playing?
Yes. We had a short-term borrow capability with the bank that was for $1.2 million as a revolving line of credit, which is, we are pursuing that for the future. But in the meantime, with our current situation, not having a fund balance or having a significantly depleted fund balance, there was a concern with our assets that if we don't have enough in our fund balance to cover the borrow, what's the risk for the bank? The bank did not like that position. And so really strictly off of not having enough cash reserve to cover that type of a borrow, they wanted to establish collateral. And so the collateral would be this property if the building would ever, if it would ever get to that point where we couldn't pay for the debt to the bank. So that's why it's done, because we needed to have the deed in order to be able to continue the conversation with Community State Bank. So so what's happening is we are pursuing the short-term borrow in February after we pay off the current obligation to Community State Bank in January. We received a large state funding tax allocation in January for the year, and that will provide us enough capital to pay off the obligation to Community State Bank. And then in February, we'd be pursuing the line of credit for 1.2 million. So it's a little bit off of our normal cycle. Normally this is done in August. But this year, given the financial situation and the referendum, the timeline was changed. So that's the backstory. I didn't think we'd be, recognizing a 65-year-old building as brand new tonight, but we will.
Okay, so we need to read the resolution. Patty, may I ask you to do that?
From that, right there? Okay, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
State of Wisconsin, Raymond School District Number 14, Racine County, resolution accepting transfer of title. Whereas the Raymond School District Number 14 of Racine County, Wisconsin, purchased the property located at 2659 76th Street, Raymond, Wisconsin 53126, the property from the town of Raymond, also known as the Village of Raymond, on or about February 13th, 1961, and whereas it appears that following the district's purchase, no deed for the transfer of title to the property was recorded evidencing the transaction, and whereas the district has constructed buildings upon the property and has utilized the property for district purposes for many years, and whereas the town, now village, has executed a quitclaim deed transferring all right, title, and interest in the property to the district. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved by the Board of Supervisors of the Raymond School District Number 14 of Racine County, the quitclaim deed for the property, subject property, is hereby accepted. This resolution passed and was adopted on this 17th day of December 2024.
Okay. Thank you. First, we'll need a motion to accept the deed transfer.
Motion to accept the deed transfer.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the deed transfer. Any discussion?
About time. 65 years and no one knew it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then next, we will need to have a motion to authorize the superintendent, Mike Leach, to pay for the deed transfer.
I move to have Mike Leach pay for the title transfer and filing of the so-called deed.
Not personally, but yes.
Not personally, the school. Okay.
I second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to authorize Mike to pay for the deed transfer. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're now new owners of the building.
Yeah, congratulations. I do want to point out, just say thank you to the Village of Raymond. They were extremely cooperative, the Village Board, with making this an expedited process, and Community State Bank has been fantastic in being patient and trying to work with us to make sure we have everything we need to move forward. So thank you to them for their quick work. At first, I thought this was a quick claim deed, and it turns out it's a quit claim deed. So I've learned a lot about deeds in the last couple of weeks, but thank you for all the patience and work on this unique situation.
Okay. We move on to committee reports. Facility Committee held on 12/13. Ed.
So we had a we had a brief facilities committee meeting on the 13th, where we went into further discussion regarding the Data Wrangler project and capturing the data, whereby we recommended that we go forward with that project. We also reviewed the work with Bob that will be done over the holiday season. He's got a number of projects that he wishes to work on, which are all good things, obviously. Bob knows the school in this facility probably better than anyone, so he's recommended that. One of the things that we are looking to do is, if you look at any of the restrooms pretty much in the school, the tile is just in terrible condition. I mean, you don't even want to go in the bathrooms. So we gathered a quote on cleaning the tile and sealing it. Bob did, actually, with a local company up in Brookfield, I believe. Yeah. And they would come in, they chemically etch the tile and the grout. They actually remove some of the grout. Then they come in with an epoxy coating and cover it all up, makes it look like new again. So we are going to propose to do 2 bathrooms, look at what it looks like, make sure that, you know, it does what they say it'll do. And so we'll go forward with that project. I don't think we'll be in position to do it over the holiday, but maybe by Easter break or before then.
The bathroom, the demo bathrooms will be done over the holiday break.
Oh, the 2 will be done?
Before the new year,
Oh,
yes.
okay, good.
The purpose is that we try on the project for size to see if it works, and
Right.
it is a fairly pricey. If all in, it's about $23,000 for 9 bathrooms to be done.
Yeah.
This would be a small sample, and it would be an expense that's about $1,200 per bathroom. So a small expense that normally wouldn't come to the board, but at the same time, we want to be clear that we're trying this out to see how it works. There are other places we called as references to see how it worked out. It worked out well. So that's the goal, and then obviously we can move forward with the project if it deems itself worthy.
Then we talked about, Bob did some discussion regarding some cabling for speaker systems and just for IT work. That would be, there are funds out there, I can't recall the name of the,
E-rate.
what is it?
E-rate.
E-rate, yeah, where they would cover some of these project costs. So that is being investigated as well. I think in the tune of up to $30,000 they would cover, or something along those lines.
Depends on the project, but yeah.
Depending on the project. But there's further, we have to do some further digging and understanding of what all that is and identify the project. Other than that, that was it. We have another meeting scheduled for the end of January.
Okay, thank you. Ed?
I just want to say that with the work that Ed and Mike are doing right now, and myself going through and finding these projects and trying to find these small projects that we can start with now, to start building the structure and trying to fix some of the things that have been needing to be fixed for many, many, many years, and finally getting into some of these programs and projects and stuff, and being able to find the money to be able to cover this, so that we don't have to go to these big, large building referendums or something like that, and be able to do it internally. It's a lot of work on our part to be able to do this, but I'm really happy that I'm working with Mike and Ed on this, and we're finding these projects to try to save the community some money and be able to get the school back into some decent shape.
And of course, Bob.
Of course, Bob, don't forget.
Can't forget Bob. What about Bob?
Don't forget Bob.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Audrey, can I just ask, still warm and smell free?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are. It's important.
Okay, we move on to administrative reports. Mr. Leach.
I have a lot to say, but I want our leadership to say it. They've got a lot of the same things, so I don't want to steal their thunder. It's been a great month here. The concert series has been amazing. Got a chance to get into some classrooms and just see the holiday spirit is free. It's free flowing here right now. I don't know if you realize, but Christmas is coming. Holidays are here. So kids are having a blast. The Underground Spirit Day was awesome. Spirit Week was awesome. Confusing to some kids, but we had some fun. Staff are feeling great, and the culture is really enjoying that part of it. So I'll let our leadership take on the rest of things, but there's a lot of great things going on here that to be celebrated. Yeah, I'll go after you. So I'll turn it over to the team.
I'm not gonna say too much, other than if you talked to me in the last month, you know all I'm thinking about is really Act 20 and getting the testing done. And that has, so again, that's where there's a law, you know, that goes into effect now, basically, where we have to give a certain screener to every kid, K through 3, and then we have to follow up with a diagnostic testing for anyone below the 25th percentile, and then also develop what's called a personal reading plan for every student. And we, along with every other school, or I shouldn't say that, we're ahead of most schools in getting it done, so they don't even know what's coming yet, to be honest with you, because it's a lot. And the teachers have worked really hard, our interventionists, we've got them all ready to go, and the information's been sent out. But with that, we have also implemented our phonics program, the U-Fly, that I talk about quite a bit, and we are seeing great growth with that. So we have some students that were in Tier 2, they're now out of that, and some kids in Tier 3 moving to Tier 2, so that's been great. With that though, because of all of this extra work, I do have to express some concern about not being able to, we're worried about how we're gonna keep up. And so we're doing all that, we're trying to hit it at Tier 1, but, you know, so I just wanna put that out.
When you're testing and doing all these things with literacy, which is key, we can't do it all. So math is taking a hit, meaning our math support, we only have so many people to work with kids. So our classroom teachers have taken on a lot of those responsibilities. I mean, it sounds funny, yes, they do every day, take those responsibilities on, but there's extra support that is hard to provide when you're shifting like this. It's a big foundational shift in our literacy instruction. So we're gonna weigh and measure and see how things go, but it's been a lot of trial and error, and it's gone really well. And so kudos to the team for that, for sure. But it is hard to keep up with, and you can't be all things to all subjects. So it's something to watch.
Yeah. And then I was just also going to explain that we also, that kind of covers the K3, but for our older students, we're having our data meetings, seeing who needs some extra help or extra support even within the classroom. We'll kind of finish that up before break so that we're ready to go after. Access testing for our English learners will be in January. Right when we get back, we'll start that. So it's just testing. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Good. All right.
So I wanted to start by thanking the members of our student council, which is run by Mrs. Klein and Mrs. Adamchek, because we had our annual blood drive this year. We were getting nervous leading up to the blood drive because we had about 13 people that signed up, but we were blessed with a lot of walk-ins that day, which we were hoping, kind of expecting for, and we got them. We had a successful 26 donations, 8 of which were the extra special double red donations, which are hard to find, and they're a little bit more taxing on the donor, so we were especially appreciative of those. That was a very successful event here. The 8th graders are continuing to plan for high school, which just seems crazy that they're already choosing their elective courses. I was so impressed with the amount of electives that are offered at UGHS, and the students in 8th grade have been thinking about it a lot, and they continually ask us, like, what electives did you take when you were in high school? And I was like, well, I had like 4 choices. So there are so many cool choices that they have, and they're getting excited about it, which is making us get excited about it, and it's just, I can't really believe it's here. So they did already have their parent night at UGHS. They did go on December 4th to the Bronco Experience Day, which was really successful. so they spent the entire day there and they got to learn about all the different electives. They got to go to every classroom, see every part of the building throughout the day. They got to eat lunch there, which they said the lunch was like awesome, so they're pretty excited about that. And then this Friday, the high school counselors are coming back and the students will actually turn in and complete their scheduling forms with their electives for the high school. So they'll get one last opportunity to meet with the counselors. Debbie Klein has been doing a fantastic job working with the students to help them choose their courses. The form was a little bit confusing, even though it was explained at parent night. The way it's formatted was a little confusing to some of the families, and Debbie has done a fantastic job communicating things, helping with students and finding their recommendations and things like that. So that's been a really cool process to see. It's very exciting. As Mike mentioned, Jenny and Jody planned an underground staff only Spirit Week last week, which was so fun because every day the students just thought we were crazy when we were all showing up in, like, Monday we did monochromatic, Friday we all wore like Hawaiian gear, and then the kids were asking us about it and we were just like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it was just hilarious because they have their Spirit Week going on this week, and it was just really fun. My personal favorite day was the drink out of anything but a cup day, when the substitute teacher rolled through with a rolling recycling bin with a straw. It was so funny. And then the kids were asking us, and we're like, we're just thirsty. I don't know what you're talking about. So it was really good staff camaraderie. It was really fun. We hosted a door decorating contest this year, which the kids got really excited about for the holiday season. Miss Feeling's class, Miss Karen's class, and Miss Dalton's class were all winners for different categories. And the 8th graders, I was super excited. They got really into it, and sometimes, it's hard to get 8th graders into things, but they were very into this door decorating contest. I gave them both honorable mentions, so that was exciting. I know we talked about the winter concerts already, but I have just been so impressed with the work by the staff and the students and the PTO to make those happen. Specifically, the art show that is new this year has just been fantastic. Watching the growth from even just the first concert to the second and the communication between everybody involved. It's like the first one, everybody's new and we're trying to figure it out, but then the second one, it was just a well-oiled machine, and tomorrow it's going to be fantastic. So I'm excited about that. As always, the PTO is hustling. They actually have a current fundraiser going on right now at the Jersey Mike's in Oak Creek. If you dine in yesterday, tonight, or tomorrow, and you use the code RES25, Raymond will get 25% of your order pushed back to us, to the PTO, and that goes for our Fine Arts program, which, as was mentioned earlier, the PTO purchased lighting and sound this year, which was a fantastic one-time purchase, and it's saved us tons of money not needing to rent that equipment. We kind of started with minimal, and we're hoping to upgrade as the years go on, so the more we can support the PTO and their fundraisers, that would be fantastic. And then I'll end with our next senior breakfast is Wednesday, January 8th at 8:30 in the cafe, and then the following Thursday is our Students of the Month special breakfast that Debbie Klein and I host every week. Big things. Big weekend.
I'm good.
So is it true you have no comments?
I know it's hard to understand. They took all the breath away. There's just a lot of great things, as you can hear, so we can move on.
Okay, well, then we move on to board comments.
One thing that I want to mention is with the upcoming election, so 3 school board seats are going to be open for election in the spring. 2 of them are 3-year terms. One of them is a 1-year term, I believe. But the candidacy paperwork for that is due by January 7th, and you can see the office for any details on that. So just wanted to make that plug. And then also, if anybody's curious, I know we put this in newsletters and we stated it at our last meeting, but it's Mike, myself, and Patty's board positions that are open. And then other comments that I had. So, hearing myself on echo. So next was Donna, I know there's a ton of work that is going, or Dana, sorry, I do that. We just talked about this. I psyched myself out writing down the names. So Dana, I know you said this Act 20 piece is generating a lot of work and new work, and that we're getting a jump start on it. I know I've harped on this a million times before because my own children would have personally benefited from a program like this. And so I'm so excited to see all of these pieces being put into place and the early work you're starting. I mean, like, who gets to benefit from that the most? The kids that you're impacting this year by taking that initiative and wrapping your arms around it, though it's a really massive task. I'm just gonna keep shouting. That was one of the things that brought me to the board in the first place, was my passion for helping meet the very different needs of all of our students. So I know, reading is such a huge, huge part of their ongoing success, so thank you. And then we talked about it earlier, the referendum meeting that we had. Dana, Donna, Rebecca, Mike, Pete, you all held tables for us. Thank you for taking that time out of your night to facilitate that session. I think it's great. Anytime we can open it up, I hope and encourage folks to continue to show up for those. We also had 15 community-ish members. I don't know if I got the head count right, but all of the board members attended, and a handful of community members, many present in the room, attended to share their thoughts on what worked and what didn't work, which will certainly help us as we evaluate how we move forward. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that participated in that, and anybody that completed the survey that couldn't attend that night as well. That feedback is crucial for us understanding where we go from here. So I think that wraps up my comments.
Okay. Anyone else?
I just want to congratulate the staff and the faculty and the students on the report card. I think that's fantastic. I don't know what your goals are to keep it going that way. I mean, that was a big jump, but obviously you're all doing the right thing, and that's fantastic.
I'll keep it short and sweet. I did attend a senior breakfast with my husband, and we were both thoroughly entertained by the students that put on a little show for us. And I did want to just say that between the cooking and the serving of the students, I just say that that's a great character builder, a great teamwork builder, and I just thought it was a great idea, and I hope the kids enjoy it as much as the seniors that come out. So that's what I wanted to say.
I will like to throw out a little shout out to PTO for the new spirit wear. Came out yesterday, and it's really nice. It's comfortable. I figured in the joy of your guys' spirit week last week, which was kind of odd when I came into my meeting and saw you all in shirts, and I was kind of wondering what was going on and why it didn't say much during the week. I was kind of like, and then this week being spirit week for the kids and stuff, I figured, well, I'll just wear my spirit wear that came in the mail yesterday. So good job to the PTO and all that. Also, you teachers and stuff for spirit weeks, because it's been awesome. Wyatt loves it. He was in Spider-Man today. So congratulations and good job. And I hope everyone has Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
I did have one more thing. Not as much of a comment as just seeking clarification on the status of the audit and the comments that were made during public comment. Can you just provide any updates on that, Mike?
Yes, yeah. So the audit is complete. It was actually my birthday present on my birthday, which was the reason why we submitted it, of course. We submitted the claim or the audit to the DPI. It was obviously well after the due date and deadline of September. So Duray, you'll make sure you'll get your records, and we talked a little bit on Friday in person, but we'll make sure you get what you have in your records request here steadfast. So the audit was completed, and then January 20th, we'll have at the next board meeting, the review with the auditors from Lucida. We had a new auditor this year because our old auditor had quit the game of public accounting with school districts. And so that's where we're moving with this. So we're excited that it's done, and we can move forward with the recommendations from the audit, and that'll all be shared next month in our regular meeting.
Everyone's done now?
Okay, last but not least, first of all, I'd like to say to everyone here and those listening online that each one of these board members are just regular citizens that have stepped up to make a difference in this community. It's a tough job, and there's a lot to know and a lot to learn. So I'd like to take a moment to thank each of these board members for their commitment to making a difference in this district. We have faced challenges together, and we've worked together to make that difference. And I believe that we are on a good path forward with a great administrative team and staff in place. Our goal will always be to make this a place that educators want to work in and a place parents are assured of an excellent education for their children. I'd also like to take this time to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. Enjoy your time off, and more importantly, enjoy time with your loved ones at this very special time of year. Find some joy. Okay. Announcements or correspondence. We move to the WASB State Convention dates.
Yeah, it's coming in January 21st, 22nd, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and we're sending a few board members, myself. I think Pete's going to go to a few sessions as well. And so we're excited for it. And then the guidance on resolutions will come next month. The resolutions came out December 1st. If you're interested in what that means to be a resolution, it's sort of where a law is born. The initial kind of thought process behind the needs of schools, and so boards will put forth effort to bring forth needs and then to kind of galvanize them into a policy or a resolution. And so those resolutions are examined by myself and then shared with the board, and our board will either